Okay, welcome to Aha Math and Science. First, I just want to apologize for not being able to provide updates on this channel for the past actually almost like 2 months. So I'm really sorry about that, and due to my traveling schedule. So now I'm back, and I tried my best to provide you guys updates about the market. And I'm also thinking about maybe doing something new, which will be announced, in the future. So let's get started, get to the market. First, just a quick look at the major indices. As you can see, all the major indices were up, actually, quite in a bit. It's the SP 500 were up 2.5%, and then the Nasdaq and the Russell 2000 were up, both of them more than 3%. And during the week, the VIX was down quite a bit. Negative was down about like 16%. So now it's kind of hovering around the 13 level. And then the 10-year Treasury yield also retreated about 7 basis points. So that's basically says like the market was quite strong, during the past week. And this is what actually we kind of had, in early July. At that point, the SP 500 was around the 4,400 level. And then we kind of point out that, most likely, the SP 500 will actually get to test the 4540 level. And indeed, actually, it did. It went up almost to all the way to like 4600. So we can take a quick look what exactly happened, for SP 500. So it went up the almost to 4600, and then it came back down for like about 3 weeks. It had this correction, and now it was kind of resuming an uptrend. And so for the past week was very strong, about 2.5% went up. So what happened next? Right, that's the question we want to kind of answer. So currently, the SP 500 is at the level of 4515.77, and so we think that this correction is now over, and then the market is kind of resuming this uptrend, and so in the during the rest of the year, and it's going to perform quite strongly, and very likely it's going to make an all-time high. And so that basically means that it's going to get to around 4820 level. And so that's at least, for sort of the intermediate, time, during the intermediate time, the coming weeks and months, that's what we are suspecting is going to happen. And we will provide some arguments for that just in a little bit. So that's about 7% from the current level. And also, during this video in early July, we point out that we made a comparison between the current, sort of rally, and then some of the rallies the market had following each bear market. So including the one that actually bottomed on March 20th, 2020, and then the one bottom following the great financial crisis. So that market bottomed on March 9th, 2009. And then some early ones, including the 2002 October 9 bottom, and then another one was actually the market actually started rally from December 4th, 1987. So for the current sort of rally, it's really kind of started on October 12th of last year. So now it's been actually more than 200 trading days. So this is basically indicating the number of trading days. And then we point out that at that time that there was a window when the market has to crack, especially during these two rallies that is very similar to the one that we are currently seeing. Both you can see the amplitude and also the sort of the rate of change. So we think like there's a huge similarity between this one, the current one we are seeing, and these previous two. So a correction is really kind of so at that point we point out it's kind of imminent, and indeed it happened. Fast forward like 2 months, you can see what happened. So it did kind of, this is what happened just in early July, and you can see, and then fast forward, it went up and then came down. So that was the correction that actually it did happen. And now it seems like resuming an uptrend, the correction is over. So we think just from the long-term basis, point of view, we think that it has to kind of continue this sort of more this pattern. So at least for the next 150 trading days, we suspect it's gonna be an uptrend. And then after that, we discuss. Depends on how the economy goes. And it seems that recently there's still it started kind of show some weakness, but it's really way too early to call a recession at this point. So a few months later, we're going to discuss about see how the economy changes. So that's for the sort of intermediate term. And look at the short term, we can look at the summation index. So that's the NYSI McGrath summation index. So you can see here that every time on the bottom is the MACD histogram. You can see the histogram is represented by this bar here, the blue bar. So you can see on, for example, October 17th, 2022, that was actually like the bottom this cycle, a major bottom. You can see the histogram turn positive, and in fact, the market bottom around that time. And then the next one, it's a small correction, and then the market also the histogram turned positive right at here. So this is negative and this is positive. So it turned positive around January 11th, 2023, and indeed the market bottom around that time. Another one is actually around very sort of a couple months ago, on March 30th, 2023. Histogram turned positive, and the market bottom around that time. So now we saw that recently. You can see that basically the signal tells that the market always bottoms before the MACD histogram turns positive. So now just recently you can see the histogram circle bend upward. So it's very likely it's going to turn positive, really kind of in the coming days. And then that usually means like the market already bottom. So we think the market really kind of bottom at here, which is you can also see from the NYSI signal, it's kind of turned upward. Or you can look at the ISI signal, you can see that it's turned upward, and that's very similar to kind of like, the signal here and then the signal here. So even just on the short-term basis, we think the correction is over. So that's basically kind of the intermediate term picture and the near-term picture, and arguing for an uptrend for the index. Now we also paid a special attention to the small caps on this channel. And on July 7th, we point out that it's almost kind of retesting the support line. So this ratio of small cap to the larger cap made a really kind of like a multi-year low on March 18th, 2020. And that ratio is at 0.4133. And then on July 7th, actually July 6th, it kind of retested support line, but it did not make a new low. It was just kind of tested 0.4176, and then it rebounded just the next day. And then in the following month and a half also, it went up, and then just recently during this correction, it went down again. But then it had this low, which is at 0.4207. So we really think that this support line holds, and the small caps is going to be rebound sharply, basically outperform the larger caps quite a bit in the coming weeks and months. And this is something we really look at. So what about the target for the small caps? For the larger caps, we think it's going to make an all-time high, representing a 7% increase from the current level. For the small caps, we think it has quite a way to go, because it was really kind of underperforming the larger caps in the previous 8-9 months. So now I think the chance is here, especially given the macro, which is look like the Federal Reserve is not going to actually hike rates. In my view, I think the hiking cycle is over, given the weakness in the economy. So that represents very good chance for the small caps. So we think that it will at least go to this left shoulder of this head shoulder pattern. So that's around 2290 level. So there's a lot of increase for the small caps to catch up the larger caps. So I think it would be wise to actually, do a little bit of overweighting of the small caps. And for the broad market, during the rest of the year and then perhaps the first half of 2022, we think it's going to be quite strong market, and it's going to rally, and most likely, both the larger caps and the small caps are going to make new all-time highs. So that's the kind of the big picture. So I hope you have enjoyed this video and find the information present here interesting. Again, your support means a lot to this channel. So please do not forget to click the like button and also to subscribe to our channel if you have not done so. Your support really kind of is a motivation for me to provide updates about the market and share my thoughts with you guys. Again, thanks a lot for your support, and have a great weekend.